Americans, what do you think would happen if your federal minimum wage is raised to $30 hours? This is not a satire question, so you may come up with honest opinions about the impact on the job market and the American economy as a whole. For a time, help a lot of people. But if protections from the owner class aren't put in place, it'll be back to crap shortly after. I just hate the whole if you raise wages, the price of everything will skyrocket. Dude, wages are not rising, and the price of everything is skyrocketing. FFS, there's just no winning. Edit I did a spells. Nothing. Capitalism will keep capitalisming. The problem is and always has been no regulations on pricing. Inflation has gone on 50 years with only recent raises to min wage that still do not keep up with cost of living. So raising wages alone has never been the answer, as it just devolves into the circle jerk discussion of companies raising prices. It may be true because it doesn't address the real issue. For a brief period, people would live much better lives. Then corporations would raise prices on everything to make up for the lost profit. They have no respect for society and humans. Just selfish greed. A baby boom and home ownership boom. In my view, the biggest challenge to successfully raising minimum wage to a livable wage is the sheer size and scope of large corporations compared to small businesses. The only companies who can afford to pay like that are the megacorps, and it would make it so hard for small businesses, which are already struggling. It's not possible. But if we were to have some kind of antitrust type legislature to break down these gigantic companies and kill the monopoly they have on almost every retail market, maybe we could get back to a country where your average person can afford to live. Unless corporations get checked, prices will increase so that their profit margin isn't getting hurt. Tax billionaires. Make the one pay their fair share. That would fix a lot more. Lol, in this current situation? Gestures wildly at everything. Corporations and landlords and small businesses would immediately raise prices, rent, fees to suck up all the difference to capitalize on the increase. People would see maybe one paycheck with the extra money before it was immediately sucked up by records profits. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean record profits. Damn it, inflation. That's what I meant. The oligarchy will collapse the economy if that happens. The proletariat cannot be given so much power. A whole bunch of businesses that rely on labor exploitation would disappear. As they should. Second honest question for Americans: would you accept your shitty bosses and work cultures if you get compensated adequately for that? You would see a bunch of shitty cars with new rims. In America, if they made the minimum wage $30 an hour, they'd just raise everything else. I feel like corporations be like, everyone's making at least $30 now? I think $14.99 per gallon of milk is acceptable. Let's bring it to the shareholders. And then we're all broke again. Everything would be more expensive, and then $30 an hour wouldn't be enough to live on. I could probably ask for a rather big raise, 100,000, 150. Even more jobs will go to countries with cheap labor. The reality is that your country needs to impose steep tariffs on products made with poor labor practices. Rich people don't like that because they can't make as much money, and poor people don't like that because they can't get cheap shit. Why do you think all the political parties have focused so much on crushing the middle class? Less crime. Henry Ford paid the highest wages of his day. He was widely known as being a mean, pitiless son of a bitch. He said he paid high wages because he needed people to be able to buy his cars. The more you know. Probably not much. Sure, inflation and unemployment will rise. But that's going to happen no matter what. The media will just blame minimum wage. Sadly, big businesses will find ways to pass the increases on to the customer. Small businesses will struggle to figure out how and get hurt. The general public will benefit. A rising tide lifts all boats. But if it happened too quickly, the most already advantaged groups will benefit first. We would have to hold a lot of emergency elections because most likely half of Congress would have heart attacks by raising min wage that much. Rich folks will pass the cost back onto us. They're not just going to take the losses. Unless they put some restrictions on selling the product for more than 5/10 of the cost of production, we are fucked over. Massive inflation. Nothing besides inflation. You make more. Corporations charge more. Has never and will never fix anything. What you need are laws protecting against price gouging, rent hikes, etc. My life would suck again because I tried hard to get away from minimum wage only to be forced back into it. The wages aren't the issue. The mega corporations who answer to shareholders a nickel and dime for every single bit of profit are. Either everyone gets paid more or all corporations drop their prices. Raising the minimum wage won't do anything, unfortunately. I think we're past that point. Fuck minimum wage increases, go straight to UBI. With all of the automation improvements, we're going to need it. People shouldn't have to work in our society of insane surplus unless they want to. Tax the corporations that have been subsidized and give the gains to the people. Worst case scenario, corporations leave the US and create space for small businesses and entrepreneurs to step in and make their own way. Best case scenario, everyone is fed, housed and clothed regardless of work status. Greedflation would kick in to make rent, food, gas, and everything else more expensive. With the profits these companies are making, they could easily pay workers $30 an hour without raising prices. They'd simply make less profits. Unfortunately, we've let companies run so free with unfettered capitalism that now the only purpose of a publicly traded company is to always make higher profits for their shareholders than last year. They can afford it with no issues. But there's gonna have to be a law passed mandating that they take it out of their profits, aka the workers' profits they've stolen, rather than out of customers' wallets. 10 people wouldn't get a new yacht every year, and 350 million people would be living a much better life. Crime would drop. Drug use would drop. Companies will raise prices and blame inflation war. Politicians really anything they can use as a scapegoat for their greed. Corpos would make everyone part-time, so they won't have to pay any individual more. They'll also increase their prices dramatically because they think it's justifiable, when in reality stuff should go up only a few cents. And small businesses would get destroyed because of their inability to provide that wage to employees, which is fine by me. I think this is an old idea, and increasing minimum wage would drive employers to automate or replace or outsource as much as possible. A more interesting idea would be to offer universal basic income and leave wages to market. Pay for UBI through increased taxes, primarily on the wealthy. With UBI, you could also do away with several redundant federal programs to support the poor and disabled and unemployed. The collapse of the economy. A cheeseburger at McDonald's might cost $5. Oh, the humanity. Billionaires may make slightly less money,